From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
And good morning. It is Thursday morning here, and it is 4:27, bright and early. Thanks for joining our team on Good Morning Indiana. I'm Lauren Casey.
And I'm Nicole Griffin in for Raphael this morning. Lauren, happy to be here once again with you.
Yeah, it's great to have you in studio, Nicole. Let's talk about some of the stories that we'll have for you today, starting with something a lot of people have been dealing with since we've been wearing those masks for a lot more of our day, I should say. Mask acne, or as people are calling it, maskne. We're taking a look from a dermatologist about how you can prevent the acne on your face after wearing the mask all day, some preventative tips, and also ways you can treat it. A lot of people are saying that they're getting breakouts from wearing these all day long. So our Kelsey Anderson is talking to a dermatologist, and we'll have all of their advice for you coming up.
And another story we will have for you this morning straight ahead on Good Morning Indiana. We know the pandemic is front of mind for a lot of people right now. Hospitals are working overtime treating patients, but also flu season is coming up. So we are talking to medical experts and a local mom about their concerns with flu season approaching and what you need to know to keep yourself and your family safe. Our Alyssa Donovan will have that story for you this morning. But now let's get a check of your forecast with meteorologist Todd Clausen. Todd, I will say walking out the door, it feels a little better this morning, not so muggy.
Yeah, you know, the humidity's down a little bit, but it kind of depends where you are. Southern locations dealing with some rain this morning. Northern locations dealing with some patchy dense fog, where there's a dense fog advisory out. Indianapolis, though, kind of falling right in the middle of things, just on the borderline of some showers. Where the showers are, there's no fog right now with the rain. But look at the temperature spread with the clearer skies to the north. 61 in Logansport, 70 in Indianapolis, 71 in Bloomington, and Kokomo's at 63 degrees. If you are seeing the showers in southern locations, they're not going to linger too much longer. They're going to move off to the east pretty quick, and we've avoided most of the heaviest of the rainfall. That stayed just to our south in portions of Kentucky and far southern Indiana, where there's actually some flash flood watches posted. So we deal with this dense fog advisory throughout the morning hours. The rain to the south this morning, but today is the last day of the humidity that will be around. The humidity will drop quickly this evening once a cold front comes through, and that cold front sets us up for a beautiful stretch of weather that's going to take us all the way through the Labor Day weekend. More on that coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. Our Kara Kenny is working for you on this story about IRS payments. People are getting money in their bank accounts, or they're receiving checks in the mail, and obviously that could always be a little bit suspicious. Is that a scam? She shows us why this is not a scam, what you need to know, and what you need to watch out for. That's all coming up right here on Good Morning Indiana.
From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
An East Side neighborhood is tired of their streets being used as a community dump. Working for you, we're taking their concerns straight to city leaders.
Plus, flu season and the coronavirus pandemic are on a collision course. Now at 4:30, what health officials say you can do to prepare for weeks ahead.
And thousands of Hoosier students are learning away from the classroom this morning, why state leaders say the funding your school district depends on is safe for now. Thank you so much for starting your morning with us here on Good Morning Indiana. I'm Nicole Griffin.
And I'm Lauren Casey. Nicole, it is great to have you here in studio today. Todd Clausen is standing by from home, though. And Todd, what can we expect as folks head out there? I know I saw a few raindrops for my commute, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah, you know, it just really depends where you are this morning. It's one of those mornings where everybody in central Indiana is seeing something a little bit different. If you're in southern locations, you're dealing with a little bit of light rain. If you're in northern locations, no rain, but you're dealing with patchy dense fog. And then in the middle of the state, in Indianapolis, obviously, we're not really dealing with a whole lot. We're kind of in between things, but the visibility down below 1 mile in Frankfort, as well as Lafayette, Rockville, that's where we have the dense fog advisory. And then here in southern locations, that's where we're dealing with some light rain showers, a few sprinkles from Indianapolis down towards the Greenwood area, some heavier showers as you get closer to Seymour and Greensburg. And that storm track continues to be across southern portions of Indiana. There's a lot of heavy rainfall that's going to be moving right along the Ohio River, but that should stay to our south. And then later on today, this batch of rain to our north is the cold front that is going to come through. So it's going to be a fairly active day of weather. weather with several things happening. It doesn't mean there's any big things happening, though, as we're not expecting any widespread heavy rainfall. It's 60s and 70s here this morning. Once the rain showers to the south move through, it's a pretty dry morning with mostly cloudy skies, but we should get into some sunshine as we work our way into the afternoon hours. We'll talk about the passage of that cold front and its impacts for us coming up in just a few minutes. Lauren?
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Let's take a look at traffic as you are heading out there on the roads to start your Thursday. This is I-70 at State Road 267 to our west. This is an ongoing construction spot. State Road 267 onto I-70 eastbound. That ramp under construction, the ramp system rather, under construction. So avoid that spot. And here's a live look right now in Greenwood, I-65 at Main Street. You can see traffic there moving northbound and southbound through Johnson County is traveling up to speed. Still pretty quiet early this morning. We'll continue to keep our eyes on your roads and let you know if there are any crashes or delays to avoid.
This morning, trash and junk piled on east side streets and alleys has neighbors living here turning to WRTV for help. Tim Hughes says for months he's watched this alley near 25th and Keystone be turned into a landfill. He says he's watched people drive to the area and dump old couches, TVs, mattresses, and even a piano. Hughes says he wants whoever is dumping the garbage to stop using his neighborhood as their trash pile.
Two phases to it. I mean, one, the community needs to just stop dumping their trash in our alleys. I am an East Sider. And two, the city probably knows this is here, and why they're not cleaning it up or haven't cleaned it up, I don't have any idea.
Well, we took Tim's concerns straight to the city, and they tell us they have investigated 8 cases of illegal dumping in that specific area on the east side. They encourage anyone who notices trash piling up or illegal dumping to contact the Mayor's Action Center so they can investigate the issue. The city also plans to continue organizing monthly cleanups once coronavirus restrictions are lifted. For a small fee, you can drop off large items or heavy trash every Saturday at the Citizens Transfer Station on South Belmont Avenue.
Now we want to go to the latest on the coronavirus pandemic and the impact it's having on the Hoosier State. This morning, state health officials confirm 871 new cases of the virus. That means since the pandemic began, nearly 96,000 Hoosiers have tested positive for COVID-19. State health officials also report an additional 13 deaths from the coronavirus, and since March, more than 3,100 Hoosiers with the virus have died. Let's take a closer look at how the virus is impacting hospitals here in the state of Indiana. This morning, nearly half of the state's ICU beds are being used by patients who do not have the coronavirus. Patients with the virus are using a little more than 10% of the ICU beds. At this hour, 40% of Indiana's beds are open, along with 82% of the state's ventilators. And this morning, the CDC is asking states to begin preparations to distribute a potential coronavirus vaccine as soon as next month. The CDC is offering plans on how to distribute a vaccine and who should get it first. Healthcare and essential workers, long-term care facility residents, and national security populations are at the top of that list. This does not mean the CDC thinks a vaccine will be approved in less than 2 months. It does mean, however, the government is hoping to remove any stumbling blocks ahead of time.
This morning, the state is releasing a new tool to help local leaders determine whether to learn remotely or in person. It's a color-coded map depicting the level of community spread in Indiana's counties. The colors are blue, yellow, orange, and red. Blue is the least restrictive and red is the most. Each color corresponds with recommendations for school districts.
Blue indicates minimal community spread. The recommendations would be that schools operate all grades in person, but limit activities where social distancing is not feasible. Red counties are experiencing high community spread. For these counties, the recommendations would be that grade schools could remain in person or consider hybrid learning, and that middle and high schools consider virtual learning.
A county's color code will be determined by the number of new cases and the % positivity rate.
Indiana schools will continue to get their funding during COVID-19 after a few weeks of uncertainty. On Wednesday, State Board of Education voted to alter its funding formula. The updated formula will count virtual students as the same as the in-school population for funding purposes. Now, ordinarily, the virtual students only count for 85% of the standard funding. That means school operating virtually due to COVID-19, they were at risk of not getting their full amounts.
I've said from the very beginning that I'm fully committed to schools getting full funded for students who would normally be in the physical classroom but are attending virtually at the moment.
Another student count will happen in February. That's when state leaders plan to return to the normal student funding formula.
This morning, flu season is approaching as the coronavirus continues to spread. Medical experts want to make sure that the two illnesses don't collide to create a so-called twindemic. Right now, hospitals are working overtime to treat COVID-19 patients, and they want to make sure flu season does not create chaos. You've probably noticed clinics, pharmacies, and doctors' offices are already starting to make it known that they are offering flu shots.
If enough people get vaccinated, we can reduce the number of flu cases and therefore reduce the burden that's already placed on the hospitals by the pandemic.
Health officials say making sure flu cases stay under control will be key in keeping schools open since they are already battling COVID-19 cases.
It is 4:37. Some charges in a Tippecanoe County neglect case sparking global attention now have been dropped. Michael Barnett and now ex-wife Christine Barnett were charged with abandoning their adopted daughter last September. A judge dismissed 5 charges against Michael connected to the belief that the daughter was a minor when they left her in Lafayette and moved to Canada. The judge made a similar ruling in Christine's case last month. Remaining charges accuse the pair of neglecting a person with a medical need.
This morning, an Indiana law that purges many people from the voter rolls has been blocked. A lawsuit filed by Common Cause Indiana claims the voter registration laws violates the National Voter Registration Act. The law in question was supposed to compare people in other states to find out if somebody moved away. If they did, the state would remove them from the voter roll. The National Voter Registration Act lays out specific guidelines for a voter to be removed from the rolls. Most people plan to vote early this election season. A new poll shows 52% of people plan to vote early this year. 54% of people also said they support changing election laws to make it easier to cast a vote by mail due to the coronavirus pandemic. The study also showed a lack of confidence in the fairness of the election. 57% of people asked said they doubt the election will be conducted in a fair or equal way.
A Boone County Sheriff's deputy is fired after missing a coronavirus test just ahead this morning. Why the department officials say the deputy violated department standards. Todd.
And Lauren, some rain continues to fall across southern Indiana. The heaviest of the rain should stay south of central Indiana. It's going to be right along the Ohio River here this morning, with some light showers falling in parts of the area where the rain is not falling. Fog is settling in. So we have a couple hazards to talk about for you this morning. Overall, it's a decent day, though. We'll talk about not only today, but look ahead to your Friday and your weekend as well. Coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on WRTV.
Welcome back. A Boone County deputy can appeal a decision to fire him over a missed COVID-19 test. On Wednesday, a merit board voted to terminate Tobias Shepard. Shepard told the merit board that he had a vacation planned during his scheduled test. He reached out to leadership saying that he would be gone and asked if he could reschedule. The officials granted his request, but they say they assumed Shepard was going out of state. He later posted a photo showing that he was in southern Indiana. The Sheriff's Department policy says that all employees must attend scheduled COVID-19 tests unless they are out of state.
It was reasonable for me to believe that what I did, I followed to the letter. I did not refuse to take a test. I did take a test. I didn't miss my test. I took my test. I followed a directive that I thought to be correct at the time.
Boone County Sheriff Mike Nielsen disagrees. He tells WRTV the policy is about upholding the department's mission of protecting and serving the community.
We needed to make sure that the message is very clear out there that this virus is killing people. The positivity rate continues to go up, and we got to do everything we can to protect the people, the inmates that they've entrusted me to care for, and the public, and mostly the staff. And that's what this is about, just making sure we do that.
Sheriff Nielsen says since April, 5 other department employees have been terminated due to missing a COVID test. Those were all civilian employees.
This morning, the Army has launched a new investigation into decisions made by leaders at Fort Hood. The investigation is related to the death of Specialist Vanessa Guillen, whose remains were found in June, months after her disappearance. The 20-year-old's death has sparked a series of reviews into the environment at Fort Hood. For now, a top general overseeing operations at the Texas base will remain there instead of moving to a new role. In a July statement, base officials said there have been 23 deaths this year at the base.
This morning, pandemic lockdowns have people looking up to the skies, but not to see birds. The National UFO Reporting Center says that reports of sightings increased 51% so far this year compared to this time last year. The group says 20% of this year's 5,000 reported sightings came at the height of the lockdown back in April. They say they receive 25 to 50 reports every day.
This morning in Indianapolis, fourth grader is turning scrap metal into cold hard cash and using it to say thank you. 9-year-old Hunter Michael Hutchins is on a mission to raise money for first responders. The fourth grader is using his scrap metal business for good, recycling things like aluminum cans and old batteries and turning it into cash. He combined those earnings with his own birthday money to buy snacks for the hospital staff at Franciscan Health. Michael's already donated more than $2,000.
A lot of things just get thrown away. I think they are really happy because they gave me pictures.
Well, now Hunter Michael is back at it, turning in unwanted satellite dishes, poles, and chairs. His new goal is to raise another $2,000 by next week. What a great thing he is doing there for the community. I love this story.
That is awesome. Working hard there, providing for our frontline workers. So what a great kid. All right, Todd, let's get a check of our forecast for today. What can folks expect as they head out the door for their commute?
Yeah, no, there's a little bit of everything out there this morning, with the exception of snow. We're not talking about that yet, but we have areas of dry weather. We have areas of dense fog. We have some areas where it's raining, so we'll kind of break it down for you. I'll start with the dense fog advisory that's in place, though, across parts of northern central Indiana. Where there's fog, there's no rain. So here's where it's dry, but you have the hazard, obviously, of reduced visibility, and this dense fog advisory is in place for Hamilton County up into Tipton County, Kokomo and Howard County, and then off towards the west through Crawfordsville as well as Terre Haute. Does not include Indianapolis at this hour, and your visibilities in this area where the fog has settled in are down below 1 mile, hence the dense fog advisory. Kokomo, 4/10 of a mile visibility, 3/10 in Crawfordsville, as well as Lafayette, and 3/10 of a mile in Terre Haute. You see the visibility in Indianapolis, not bad at all, at 8 miles. And then as you work your way to the south, that's where we'll be dealing with the rain showers. So where the fog is settled in, the skies are a little clearer and the temperatures are a little bit cooler. 64 in Lafayette compared to 70 where Indianapolis is just on the border of some rain showers. Then Bedford, you were dealing with rain showers at 72 degrees currently at this 4 o'clock hour. Now here's the rainfall moving through, and it's all generally very, very light. And what you see in Indianapolis is just a few sprinkles. Not a lot of that is reaching the ground, but some light rain showers from Richmond to Greensburg coming to an end now in Bloomington as well as Seymour. As you can see, coming a little bit closer for you over towards North Vernon, a little bit of a heavier shower. Nashville, you're just about out of the rain. The heaviest of the rain is going to stay right along the Ohio River. Now, as you look to the north, there's a cold front. This is going to come through later on this afternoon. In between, though, we should be able to get into a good amount of sunshine. So it's just kind of one of those days where there's a lot of little things going on, but nothing major going on. We highlighted this morning's hazards moving through, and as we go into the afternoon hours, again, I think we get a little bit of a break, and then you notice this broken line of showers coming through this evening. That is the cold front. Should just be a quick little burst of rain that comes through. It should be to our south by the time we get into the overnight hours, and then the humidity is really going to drop as well as the temperatures. The rain chances today only about 10 to 20%. This afternoon, partly cloudy skies before that little batch of rain moves in after 8 p.m. And then look what you wake up to tomorrow morning. 51 in Peru. 53 in Lafayette, 56 in Indianapolis. It's going to be a really cool start and completely different tomorrow compared to what we've been seeing, but it sets us up for a beautiful stretch of weather all the way through the Labor Day weekend with very comfortable morning lows, pleasant highs right around 80 degrees. And then as we get into next week, starting Tuesday and Wednesday, things get a little unsettled again as rain chances return to the forecast.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Let's take a look at traffic right now if you're heading out on the roads on this Thursday. Here's a look on the east side, I-70, a view near Arlington Avenue, where traffic is moving along up to speed both eastbound and westbound. No lane restrictions to slow you down.
One of drag racing's biggest events comes back to Brownsburg this weekend. Coming up, how one of the sport's biggest names has a shot at making some history.
And grabbing a mask while you leave the house is now part of our daily routine. Coming up all new at 5 o'clock, we're looking at the impact those masks are having on your skin and ways to prevent those problems. It's 4:49. We'll be right back. Welcome back. The time right now is 4:53, and here's a live look at traffic as it's moving along here on I-69 all the way up at State Road 38, where traffic is traveling smoothly. No lane restrictions, no crashes up this way to slow down your commute. So the NHRA U.S. Nationals this weekend are in Brownsburg. It's the premier event in all of drag racing.
And one of the sport's biggest names is marking a half-century of success. This morning, Brad Brown shows us how it all started with one big win.
Standing among the many race shops in Brownsburg, Don Schumacher has built his team into one of the elite organizations in all of drag racing.
I do take a lot of pride in it, but it amazes me when I walk in the door and I see what has been created there. It isn't something that I ever expected.
But it all started with very humble beginnings. 50 years ago, it was Don behind the wheel, taking on the sport's biggest names at the U.S. Nationals.
Here they go. Leroy Goldstein lost traction. You saw that big puff of smoke.
I certainly remember the run, but the most that I remember out of that final round against the Ram Chargers with Leroy Goldstein driving it was blowing the engine up, catching the car on fire in the lights, the parachutes being tangled up, getting it stopped, getting out of it, getting the fire put out. This was something that a kid back in those days never dreamt about, never considered being able to do. It was an incredible experience for me.
That Indy win in 1970 would be the pinnacle of his driving career. Don's son Tony got him back in the racing business in the late 90s.
I never expected to do anything more than have a top fuel dragster with my son driving it, but then one thing led to another with the U.S. Army coming aboard and Matco Tools and other sponsors that have allowed me to expand my team.
17 world championships and nearly 350 race wins later, DSR is a team to beat every time out.
If you gave me a choice and I was starting my career all over again, Don Schumacher's the guy you want to drive for, because if you want to be a winner, that's Don's goal.
It's just never something that you really think can really happen. You know what I mean? It's kind of like getting, pulled into the major leagues. 950 people get to play out an entire country, a world or whatever. And so it's just such a small elite group.
I never imagined running more than one car, and to be there today with 10 teams, it just speaks volumes to the people that I have working for me.
They'll run a shortened schedule at Lucas Oil Raceway this weekend. Nitro qualifying starts on Friday night and continues Saturday. The final eliminations are on Sunday. There are a limited number of tickets available for fans. Visit NHRA.com for more information. Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
All right, thank you, Brad. The weather looks absolutely terrific for that event. And as we get into the weekend or any other plans that you may have, there's some scattered showers out there right now, some scattered storms later on this evening. In between, we sandwich partly cloudy skies. The humidity tomorrow is much lower. As soon as you walk out the door tomorrow, it'll be a huge difference. We'll be in the 50s with that low humidity. High of 77 on Friday. Highs right around 81 both Saturday and Sunday, and also on Labor Day, with lots of sunshine through the weekend before showers return late Labor Day, but more likely Tuesday and Wednesday. The time now is 4:57. We're back at the top of the hour. Stay Stay with us right here on Good Morning Indiana.